There was a man living once, and he lived in his life through some occurrence. He wanted to please everyone. He was the good neighbor and the good son. He couldn't think ill of anyone. He wanted the world to love him. He had a face that couldn't look grim. His entire life he lived in peace, and he would share his happiness on the streets. He would greet everyone he meets. But one day his entire life changes. New chapters in his life written on blank pages. Our friend marries the girl next door. This supposed to be the love law. They knew each other for ages. They thought it's fate that rearranges. Our friend thought it was true love, and she didn't know anything beyond and above. That's not what love stories are made of, not what poets and lovebirds write of. Our friend believed in his happiness. They believe in foolery and its preciousness. This world doesn't smile back. In its all, the warmth, humanity, and its lack. Our friend has been married for a couple of years, an ordinary marriage without fears and cheers. One day, a stranger appears at his door. He asks him what he was living for. Our friend doesn't know what to reply. His mere happiness was ruffled in a sigh. He thought he had everything in life: a home, work, and a caring and loving wife. He never asked himself what has life in store. He never craved in his life for more. But now he asked himself, did I find luck? He couldn't answer and was dumbstruck. The stranger brought news of a new solution. A new prophet is there to give absolution. Our friend should hand over himself and should live for repentance itself. Our friend should give up his achievements in life. A new model of man he should strive. Asking for happiness and more would be greed. And his religion gives new meaning and need. The prophet teaches eternal complacency to reach one goal, namely supremacy. That would be the new purpose of man. That would be the new salvation plan. Our friend hands over his home and life to the new prophecy. He thought about one path clearly. The stranger wants him to admit sickness. His entire life would be miserable. He better confess. His happiness would be bitterness and repressed. The stranger tells him happiness is a rare good, and it would never be mixed in poor people's food. He was misguided and misplaced where he stood. This new prophecy tells him he can't hope for much. He cannot change the being he is. As such, the sun would shine only on few, while others only pass through. The stranger eats his food and lives in his house. Our friend gives him his last blouse. Our friend adjusts his life to the new prophecy. and he works the field. That's the new policy. He hands over his earnings to the salvation. He does it for prayers against starvation. He doesn't own his home and life anymore. But he's being told he's doing better than before. Our friend shares with the stranger everything. He is subordinate in his home to the new king. The stranger takes over his name and tells him they all would be the same. After a while, the stranger has eaten through his money, but our friend still bends in awe the knee. He ends up begging on the street. The prophecy declares poverty the new treat. Our friend works his days restlessly on his feet, begging for purpose and salvation his feet. All this time he thinks he can't do better. He is devoid of happiness, but thinks he feels pleasure. Our friend watches people with purpose. He thinks to himself, this is only on the surface. When everyone returns to their home, he still has the streets for food to roam. In the end, our friend sold everything he had. The stranger told him that wouldn't be so bad. Now he could dedicate his life to the cause. He should better forget who he once was. In the new prophecy, his identity would mean nothing. He would be measured by what he is contributing. His life would be serving a new meaning. Now they broke him. He could be everything. It would be love the prophecy would be about. And now he couldn't live without. Our friend follows these empty footsteps to become one of the prophecy's subjects.